welcome to the first session this morning in the assessment section. And I'm going to introduce our speakers from Italy, from University in Calabria, and I'm going to do a presentation on the experience with developing the test, B1 level test of English for that student. So over to you.
All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jean Jimenez, and I'm here with my colleagues, Carmen Argondizzo and Vanessa Marcella, and we're at the Language Center at the University of Calabria. But virtually, as you can see from our background, we are in Brno with you. Okay. So, with our heart. Yeah, with our heart, yes. Today, we'd like to talk to you about how a team of test developers here at the Language Center set up and developed a B1 level English test for university students attending basic academic language courses. So we'll start by giving you some information about the University of Calabria and about EFL courses at Italian universities in general, and then we'll turn specifically to what we refer to as OLA, which is the Offerta Linguistico di Ateneo, our English for Basic Academic Skills course. The core of the presentation will focus on the test development and on students' opinions of the test, which we collected through a questionnaire. So here we'll show you some pictures of Calabria. Calabria is surrounded, you can see, by the sea, and we have almost 800 kilometers of coastline. And here you'll be able to see some pictures of the Tyrrhenian coast and some pictures also of the historical castle, and this instead is on the Ionian coast. And then we have our university campus. So the University of Calabria is on a campus. Here you can see some pictures of our campus, and we welcome you to visit us. So we have about 30,000 students, and there are 14 departments, and there are a total of 79 degree courses. So you can see that we have undergraduate degree courses, what we call the first level degree, the graduate courses, which are the second level degree, and then we also have 5-year degree courses. And most undergraduate programs here, we have English courses. So you can see that in the first level degree courses, we have what we refer to as a Module 1, which is an English for General Purposes course, whereas Module 2 instead is an English for Specific Purposes. So we'll have, for example, English for Political Science or English for Biology. And then in the second level degrees, we have also more ESP courses. So as we've just seen, most university programs include EFL courses, and the contents and levels of the courses are often decided on by each individual department. And this means there is a great variety in the syllabus of these courses, as well as in how the language competence is assessed, with teachers in the different departments often developing their own test. So test writing often occurs on a smaller scale. So this can lead to a dissimilar language course, often within a single institution. And the question, what exactly is meant by an English 1 course, may not always be easy to answer. However, following university reforms and calls for greater transparency, as well as the need to facilitate student mobility, this situation has started to change. And an example of this change is the OLA course here at our University of Calabria. So I'll pass the floor to Carmen so she can tell you more about this.
Thank you.
Carmen, can you unmute yourself? Carmen, unmute yourself, please. Carmen, can you unmute yourself? Sorry, Carmen, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself? Carmen, we can't hear you.
No, finally managed. I'm sorry. Okay. So Jean said one module, one English module. And in fact, this is when the importance of the role of language center comes about. Here you have, you can see a picture of the language center where we work. Some of you may remember this place since we organized the 2016 CercleS conference. So Ola, Jean also mentioned, this Offerta Linguistica di Ateneo that we instituted back in 2010. And the module, the name that we wanted to give to the module, English for Basic Academic Skills. What was the aim? Two important aims. Harmonize the Module 1 English courses while preparing students for the Module 2 ESP and EAP courses, the more advanced courses, and then develop a university-wide accepted B1 test of English. Obviously, we wanted to move from general language skills to academic language skills, because obviously we are aware that the students belong to a university context, so they need academic language skills. The OLA welcomes every year almost an average, let's say, almost 4,000 students coming from the 14 departments. Obviously, we are aware of their needs thanks to the surveys that from time to time we carry out throughout the students, and we're also aware of the level of competencies, which unfortunately are still very low when coming from school. Academic language skills, as I said before, the major focus, and then we wanted to create a single didactic organization that could offer 70-hour study for the students, of which 40 hours in class with an instructor, 10 hours of self-study at the multimedia lab with the support of a language tutor, and then some other hours to be covered at home, thanks to the self-study materials that we have prepared and created for them throughout the years. The OLA did not start from scratch. It developed gradually. So in 2010, we had 4 degree courses, and at that time, the test was still a paper-based test with B1, still B1 lower level to be assessed. In 2014, we managed to introduce a computer-based test in an experimental way. In 2017, then we had a new platform for a computer-based test where we could introduce a full B1 level. Why full? Because we could include the listening comprehension activities. In 2019, we were able to involve 28 degree courses, the students coming from 28 degree courses with a computer-based test. Obviously, while developing the test, we were aware that we needed to know what to test, how we wanted to test it, the delivery mode that we wanted to use, what time of items, and that we also wanted to respect testing principles of validity, reliability, authenticity, and practicality. All tests, we are aware, these are the major points, but we are aware that all tests involve compromises. But here we have some theories that back us up, with Alderson in 2011 reminding us that making principle compromises and researching their effect is what makes testing so interesting and such a challenge for us. So here we have the format of this test. We have a listening section and a reading and writing section. We have different points allocated to the different sections, obviously on the basis of the difficulty of the different sections. And you can also start seeing that when we mentioned academic-oriented activities, the graph analysis, the reading comprehension based on academic issues. We will give you some examples very soon. And in fact, I will give the floor to Vanessa.
Thank you, Carmen. And yes, we will start focusing on the listening section, which is also the first part students take during their exam. And this section includes 2 tasks. Both of them are short monologues of approximately 250 words and about 2 minutes long. And the first one in particular is a multiple choice task. And this task aims at assessing students' understanding of the main ideas of a short text, of course, mainly related to academic and cultural issues, and also students' ability to identify specific information within the same text. The second task is a note-taking of words with 10 gaps. And here students are asked to identify keywords, write them down, and of course, write them down in the correct way. And here we have an example of the first task and the way it appears when students take the test. And of course, on the running platform, students can click and select their answer. And then we have another example of the second task in this case. As you can see, there are the 10 gaps that students must complete writing in the missing word. At the end, if you wish, you could listen to a short excerpt of the listenings and actually realize how homemade these tasks are. And then after the listening section, we will we're going to focus on the reading and writing section. And as it says, it assesses students' reading and writing skills. In this case, we have 6 tasks in total. And the first one is a text cohesion and analysis of spoken discourse. That is a matching task where students have 5 short student profiles and that must be matched to 6 short dialogues. In this case, students are asked to recognize similarities related to lexicon, but also cohesiveness between themes, and also identify specific information in lexicon related to their field of study. Then there is a graph analysis. The previous slide.
Sorry.
Okay, the graph analysis. In this case, we have a short text and a graph dealing with facts and figures, and it's a multiple choice, true, false, not given. And also here, students have to analyze different formats of graphs, recognize academic lexicon, and distinguish between statements that are true, false, or not given. After this one, there is a reading comprehension of a longer text with 2 tasks inside of it. And then the fourth task, the next slide. The fourth task is a language use in context, again, a multiple choice, a language use sentence transformation, and finally, we have a guided writing text completion of a semi-formal or formal email in an academic context, and it is an unbanked gas bill type of task. And then we have 2 examples of the written part. The first one is the text cohesion and analysis of spoken discourse. As you can see, there are above the student profiles, and then below we have part of the dialogues that must be matched to the profiles. And following this one, there is an example of the graph analysis. So above we have the short text, and below the related graph. And now I'll give the word to Jean, who will focus on the task description.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. So task development is a long process, and the items are written by the task development team following guidelines and specifications, after which they're checked, edited, piloted, and then edited again. And the figure illustrates the different steps needed for the creation of each task. So as you can see, several test developers are involved in the creation of each task, and every task undergoes a number of revisions. All the finalized tasks become part of a database which is periodically updated with new items and used to produce randomized tests. This randomization allows the computer to generate unique tests for each student while following the same format and keeping the tasks in the same order. And where possible, the order of the items is also randomized, as are the multiple choice option. And this ensures that students sitting next to each other have a very low probability of having the exact same test items. So what are the advantages? What are the benefits of using the system? Once the database has been constructed, tasks with different content can be added, but there's no longer the need to write new tests for each exam session as was done in the past. Invigilation is easier and fewer people are needed, since it is more difficult for students to collaborate during the test because each student has a unique version. And finally, since less time is needed for marking, we have more resources available for classroom instruction. So we've seen that testing involves teachers, test writers, invigilators, test scorers, and administrative staff. But at the center of it all, of course, are the test takers, whose opinions are important to consider in order to make improvements where necessary. So to collect these data, we administered a questionnaire to 614 students immediately after they had taken the OLA final test. And the questionnaire consisted of 5 main sections in which the students were asked to use a Likert scale to rate the items related to the preparation and familiarity with the test, the difficulty of the test, their perception of what the test measures, the test design, and finally, a self-evaluation of their competences. So Carmen will give you more information on the sections highlighted in orange.
Okay, in this final part of the presentation, I will just show you 3 sections, as Jean said, one in particular with the test measures. We asked the students, here you will find, it's in Italian, but it says, the final test gave you the opportunity to show competencies in listening comprehension, reading comprehension, lexical knowledge, and use of language knowledge. As you can see from their answers, most of their answers are in the yes agree part, but it's interesting to see that quite a large number answered agree, almost agree, and fully agree. It changes with the test design. Maybe we got more agree answers for the test design. Instructions of activities are clear. These are their agree answers. Timing was appropriate, and most of them agreed on this question. Software was user-friendly. Again, many answers were in the agree section. It changes at this point. I would have preferred to have a paper-based test. As you can see, most of them disagreed, showing once again and confirming that young generations prefer paper-based exams. And the final one is self-evaluation. I believe, we asked the students, I believe that with this test, I will pass this test and I will show that I have achieved a B1 level. As you can see, the almost agree column is the most, how can I say, crowded one. So this shows that, yes, some of them agreed, but there is still some sort of uncertainty among quite a number of students. Final reflections. So why a unifying aspects of the OLA, of a just module 1, as opposed to a multitude forms coming from different departments? We considered the professional side, the professional aspect, the technical and organizational aspect. Professional, why? We created a very nice and pleasant cooperation among the language staff. The randomization of the computerized tests with all the benefits that Jean mentioned before, and then from the organizational point of view, a constant, programmed quality control system in consideration of teaching authenticity, teaching aspects, authenticity, and evaluation processes. This is what we wanted to show to you, and we thank you. We have some references for which obviously these are references that backed up all our work, which seems so, so easy to be discussed with, but very demanding in terms of organization. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for your presentation and for your perfect time.
We can't hear you.
And now? Can you hear me? Can you hear
We can't
me?
hear you.
Can you hear me? Carmen, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Carmen? Or Vanessa, can you hear us? Pro technika. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
can you hear us? Okay, so
yes.
Now
far away, but we can hear your voice.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. So now I would like to invite the audience to ask questions. So over to you, the audience. Any questions, Martina? No, it's not necessary. It should be okay, I think.
Thank you for your presentation. It's a very interesting approach you apply. My question relates to something which is very interesting for me, professionally and personally. You spoke about database you have your tasks in. How do you assure that all of the randomized test versions are parallel in difficulty?
So it's, as you saw before, each of the items that are developed go through several phases. And then we also have a piloting phase, after which we make changes. And then we give these tests, but we periodically also look at the statistics. So we will look at facility values, item discrimination, in order to see if there are any other problems.
So you use a kind of IRT approach to this, to the analysis, or you just use classical item analysis for this?
We use just the item analysis, and we follow the very clear, the guidelines, and we have specifications that we follow when creating the tasks.
Thank you, Martina. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, if I may, I would like to ask if you come about the administration of the test. Can you comment a bit on this aspect of testing? How do you administer the test? How many students, etc.?
So we have, it depends on the different exam sessions, but as we said before, every year we have about 3,000 students, over 3,000 students. In each exam session, this will vary depending on the different degree courses. So some degree courses, for example, will have 100 students. Other degree courses, we may have up to 300 students. Then there are also some smaller degree courses. So it depends on each degree course, but throughout the year, we have a total of, it was over 3,000 students.
And obviously we use the multimedia labs that the university offers. One is the language center, but too many students for a small language center. But we get support from in terms of labs from the departments. However, as you can imagine, it's been very, very hard in June 2020 and July 2020, because all the exams had to be taken at a distance. And this was really, really demanding for us, because we had an incredible number of shifts. So rather than having, like Jean was saying, 50 students, or in some larger labs, even 80 students taking the test at the same time. This time we had to use Zoom sections, and each of us was supervising a screen with only 15 students taking the exam, and with all the procedures that the university asked us to take care of, like they needed to have a video camera. Most of them used their cell phone, as you can imagine. At the back, at the beginning, they had to show around the room that nobody was there giving them answers. It was very demanding. So we really hope that we will get back to normality very soon, and we can have students in the labs as usual. It's also nice to see their faces and to meet them.
Thank you for your answer and your extension to COVID way of testing. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, I would like to thank you very much for your presentation, for joining us here in Brno, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the conference in spite of it's virtual. So
Yes, and just one final thing, if anybody has any other questions or would like to know more, we have our email, so you can contact us via email, and it would be great to hear from you and share ideas.
yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.